Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross and I was always told I had a voice radio, so today I'm continuing my look at all the characters from Pokkén Tournament by showing you a look at Mewtwo. Now, given that Mewtwo is a Pokemon you have to unlock, he's not just there in the game at the beginning, one could, I suppose, fairly assume he's going to be quite good. So we're also going to try some different supporter sets. We're doing something a little bit different this time. What we are doing is we are having a look. I got on with Mewtwo quite well, so I thought what we do is go straight, rather than just going through some matches, let's go straight into a tournament and see how we are doing. And it turns out that we are starting off against Braixen. And I've got Espeon and Umbreon as my support Pokemon. Why not, quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen? Why not? So we start off with a barrier. And we go straight in there with a little bit of a Psychic Cut. And here we go with a Fire Punch, Ice Punch, Thunder Punch. A very nice one indeed. And straight into a Hyper Beam, which is a pretty good... I quite like it, shall we say. I think it's a pretty good attack. It does some good damage there. And we go straight there from a barrier into a Drain Punch. Now, one of the things that must be noted about Mewtwo, he's one of these characters where he's got a special attack that goes into others. So you start with a barrier, but then you can go into other attacks from the barrier. So there we have a little bit of a Focus Blast. And we saw I just grabbed in a bit of the old Umbreon there. Unfortunately, didn't do too much, but there we go. So I'm starting off there, and I am just trying to kind of get him just create a little bit of distance, keep him a little bit far away. Now, we do see the burst attack coming here from Braixen, but I'm far enough away that I managed to block it quite nicely. And I'm trying to get some things going on, but instead I just get a Fire Punch, Ice Punch, Thunder Punch going quite nicely, straight into a Hyper Beam, and this is not lasting very long. Focus Blast comes down, but I don't hit with it, unfortunately. But a Hyper Beam, right as Braixen comes in nice and close, finishes her off. Now, one of the things you will notice about Mewtwo is that my synergy gauge, my burst gauge, is not going up very quickly. And the reason for that is most of Mewtwo's special attacks, the A attacks, the named attacks, as it were, they actually drain your synergy or your burst gauge to use them. That means that when you're playing as Mewtwo, you are not getting a huge amount done in terms of actually getting your synergy gauge going, getting your burst gauge going, being able to synergy burst into Mega Mewtwo. Now, that's not necessarily the end of the world, as we've seen. And we're going to start with Espeon here, just because Espeon charges fast and Umbreon charges slow. So we'll start Espeon, he's faster charging, or she, I should say, probably. That makes the most sense. So straight away I get hit with a side ranged attacks, but I do some ranged attacks of my own. They've got powerful follow-ups with Mewtwo, and we see a barrier straight into a Drain Punch, and a pause as my phone goes off, but then I turn it back off again, and here we go with a nice little grab attack. Now, we see a Focus Blast here, and that hits straight away, which is lovely. And again, some of those ranged attacks from Mewtwo, some of those charging attacks really do some good. Now, we see a counter straight into a Fire Punch, Ice Punch, Thunder Punch. And there we go. Very nice indeed. So, straight away, Garchomp goes down, and you can see the real power of Mewtwo. I'm not actually using Espeon there. What he does is take away negative statuses and recovers HP. Later in the game, more HP. In comes Umbreon. This is a Disrupt attack, which will... It drains your opponent's synergy gauge and prevents them from performing critical hits for a little while, which is kind of useful. So we see a barrier into a Drain Punch, and we see a barrier there into a Teleport, but I don't get really much done. But there we go, that's a little bit more like it. And now we see a Focus Blast being chucked down on him, and a Hyper Beam hits him. He's not quite taken down yet, but it won't be long. And I do this a lot, where I end up getting him down to very low HP, and I don't go in for the finishing blow, and I end up getting caught in a combo. Luckily, I grab Garchomp with a grab attack shortly afterwards, and I put myself into the final of this tournament. And this is one thing I find. If I'm in field phase and I've got a couple of hits left to go, I just stay back, fire a few projectiles. Sooner or later, one of them will hit by accident, and that will be the end of the round. But especially when I'm in duel phase, I have a terrible habit of mucking about and not realising exactly how to go about doing that last little bit of damage. And sometimes I actually end up in an annoying position where games that should be won get dragged out longer than they should. And it's a little bit silly. Luckily, it didn't affect the win there, and I still put out the win with Mewtwo. And now I'm in the final against Suicune. And we shall see how this one plays out. I do like Ferrum Stadium as just a fighting arena. It's got that nice little pool, and it looks like a nice little arena. It looks like the kind of place I'd like to go and spend a day, put it that way. So straight away here, we've got a Focus Blast, and I charge it, and I hit with it, and then we get some ranged attacks with a follow-up. And Mewtwo has a good follow-up of his ranged attacks. Now, an Aurora Beam does come in from Suicune, which does get me, so I've got to be a little bit careful here, and a counter-attack comes in, and that is not good. Luckily, I managed to get my Fire Punch, Ice Punch, Thunder Punch combo going as well. It's a very powerful move, but Suicune gets some ordinary attacks in, and in comes Espeon. Heal status conditions, recovers a little bit of HP. There we see the ranged attack with the follow-up from Mewtwo, and then we see a Focus Blast coming in, and now we get with the Psystrike Final Blow, which is very nice indeed. And then just a couple ranged attacks and we're done. That Psystrike Final Blow, you've seen me try it a couple times in this video. You see all the blue/purple, I'm colorblind, don't hold it against me, swirly things coming up. And if you grab them, it can do an awful lot of damage quite quickly. So I hit with a Hyper Beam, it's one of my favourite attacks as Mewtwo. And here comes a Focus Blast, which does hit just a little bit. Some ranged attacks with the follow-up in Mewtwo comes, and then straight away we get that Fire Punch, Ice Punch, Thunder Punch combo, which has served me so well, and then straight into a Psystrike Final Blow. This is a lot of damage very quickly, and you can see the power of Mewtwo here. In comes Umbreon, puts him down to very low HP, and I hit with a grab attack, and that, ladies and gentlemen, will be the end of the round. And I've still got no Synergy Burst going, and you know what? That is one of the downsides of Mewtwo. Now, you're going to see my Shadow Mewtwo video shortly, and you'll see a similar thing with Shadow Mewtwo. I don't want to give the game away, but you'll see a similar thing. And this is one of the things we find with Mewtwo and Shadow Mewtwo. They're very powerful, unlockable characters, but they have downsides. That's not to say you can't get the Synergy Burst going as Mewtwo. Oh, no. What it means is that it's more difficult to get going when you're Mewtwo, and that you have to... I mean, it's a little bit of a trade-off, I suppose. If you use those special attacks, those named attacks, your Hyper Beam, your Focus Blast, your Barrier into Drain Punch, Psycho Cut, and so on, then you do end up in a situation where you're actually unable to go ahead and do a huge amount of, of Synergy Bursting. So as we've won the tournament, let's go for a promotion battle. We've got a few minutes left in this video. Let's go into a promotion battle, and it's another Brexen. So... a Pokemon, which maybe I'm going to try and keep at bay just a little bit. Maybe some Hyper Beams might be good in this particular matchup. And straight away, she hits me with her combo. And you see I was actually going as a Fire Blast from her. And unfortunately, Brexen's getting in nice and close. But that's all right. I've got my Grab Attack. And I hit with that, and I keep a little bit of distance. Barrier into Drain Punch doesn't work. Annoyingly so, shall we say. But we do hit with the Psystrike Final Blow, and that's pretty good. We hit with a Hyper Beam there as well, and now Espeon is charged, so there go any special conditions, of which I, of course, have none, and I recover a little bit of HP. We see, I believe, a Psycho Cut there, but now we get caught in a little bit of a combo, and I get my Fire Punch, Ice Punch, Thunder Punch going there, and that is the end of the round. So now Umbreon support gauge is maximum, but I accidentally select the Espeon. I'm pushing A to switch a bit too fast, which is a little bit silly of me. Now my opponent's got a Farfetch'd, he's got that marching forward attack, but that's not going to be an issue at the moment, he's still charging. As Brexen grabs me with a bit of a grab attack. And here we go. Now we see a Synergy Burst from Brexen there, and I need to make sure that I'm not hit by a Synergy Burst attack. So I go with the blocking, but a grab attack takes me down, and that's a little bit worrying. Here I get a Psycho Cut going on, and here comes Fire Punch, Ice Punch, Thunder Punch, a very powerful kind of triple special move, if you will. Hyper Beam does get blocked, so I just throw out another one. She's down to very little energy. In comes my Espeon. But as I said previously, we're in field phase, there's a little bit damage left to be done, so a few projectiles being thrown out is all I am going to need, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is a win for Mewtwo. So, you know the deal, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Click that like button. In terms of if you want a summation of Mewtwo, hard to synergy burst, some really good special attacks, a very powerful character, one with whom I will be spending a fair bit more time. There is a comment section if you want to call me an idiot, or maybe even say something nice. I won't judge you for either. Stick it down there in the comments. I will be a happy boy indeed. And of course, make sure that you subscribe if you haven't done so, and get a friend to subscribe on your behalf if you already have. The most important thing, of course, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.